Hey everyone. All right, let's do this. Hey everyone, I'm just gonna focus the camera for just a sec. Come on in. Come on in. And just get this focused. There we go. We are finally ready to go. We are live. So I'm just gonna wait for people to come on in. Just going to give it a little bit more time. We were supposed to start at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and a little bit of a technical difficulty getting started with our camera. So I'm just going to give everyone a moment to get the notification and come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So in tonight's live, we are going to be talking all about love bombing. Yes, we're going to be talking all about love bombing. All right. So, this is something that I've been getting so many requests to do a video on or to do a self love masterclass on. I get asked all the time when I'm doing one on one sessions with clients, can we talk a little bit more about love bombing? And particularly, how do I know when I'm being love bombed? Like, how do I know when it's real love, when we're really falling in love, or if it is just, I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. I don't know if there is a cat locked in my closet or if it's at the door. Anyway, we're just gonna, I think the cat is actually outside. All right, let's recenter. So if you're new here, if you're new at this channel, if you've never been here before, because I've actually opened up this live to everyone, I've opened it up so that anyone can watch the live. And if you're watching the replay, my name is Renee Mullings Lewis. I am a self-love coach. I'm a certified health coach. I'm also a Reiki master teacher, and I've been coaching people for well over 12 years now. And it's truly been a pleasure to be able to do it. It's definitely my passion, and I'll probably do this for as long as I'm on the earth. So, in today's live, we're going to be talking all about love bombing, and we're going to get into what it is. And specifically, what we're going to do is we are going to, now, you know what, guys? I actually think there is a cat. Hold on a second. I think there's a cat in the closet. Just check something. See that? Yeah, that's what we were hearing just now. There was definitely a cat in the closet. So I'm just going to let him out, and then we'll come back and do this. Welcome to Doing Lives, where nothing is really inside of your control. Yay. All right, so now I can be fully present and just with you all. Now we're going to get into the live. I swear to you, I was like trying to have a conversation with you. And then I was like, is there, isn't there, is there, isn't there? And it was just, I could not concentrate. All right. So, what is love bombing? What is it? Well, I could get into so many details, but I want to keep this piece of the live short. Essentially, love bombing is when you are dating someone or you're in a relationship with someone, and it's like you're getting all this love and affection up front. It's like they are so into you. Um, they are telling you all kinds of things like they're falling in love. You are like, they've never felt like this before. It just feels so right. And I'll get into some more details and some more examples of that, but they're just like so into you. And then all of a sudden, it's like they're not into you. They're not as into you anymore. Or the moment you start to kind of like get comfortable and you start to feel like, okay, maybe this is love. Like maybe maybe this could really be something, and you start to reciprocate, they start to get distant, they start to go cold. Sometimes they might even completely ghost you, or they like do this sort of like weird communication pattern where you just feel like you can't really get a hold of them or you can't really connect with them in the way that you used to be able to upfront. So that's really what we're talking about. And that is love bombing, simply put. Now, the thing that is really challenging for most people is you don't know if you're about to be love bombed, excuse me, because the beginning stages of truly falling in love and being love bombed can look very, very similar on the outside. This is why so many of us are really scared when we start to get into a relationship. We start to have these really like strong feelings for someone. So, in this live, we're really going to get into how to tell the difference. We're going to get into like what are the red flags as well that you really want to be watching for so that you can keep your eye on things. The worst thing, you all, is when you are really feeling those feelings and you're really connecting to someone and you're holding yourself back, because you don't want to hold yourself back from the right person, but you also don't want to be walking into a lion's den where your heart is about to be mauled, right? So that's really what is tricky. All right, so let's talk about the honeymoon phase slash the beginning of possibly being love bombed. So, in the beginning, when you are falling in love with someone, ideally, what we want is for things to be really sweet, for things to really be flowing and feeling very good. So, in these early stages of building the relationship, which I would say is generally like the first 3 to 6 months steadily, okay, for people who are seeing each other steadily, that's when it's like you're having these great conversations and you feel like you're really connecting. And ideally, you're wanting to get closer, you're wanting to spend more and more time together, and it's just feeling really, really good. If you are becoming physically intimate, those times are feeling really good for you. And overall, you're just really feeling like, you know what? This person could be the one. So that is what generally we are looking for in the beginning stages of a healthy relationship. Not even going to get into what it kind of looks like when it's not so healthy. Let's just start with that, okay? So that is how it feels. You're feeling good, you're thinking about them, they're on your mind, can't wait to like hear from them, that sort of thing. Here's when it starts to get love bomby. This is one of the things that you want to watch out for is the pace. Now again, when I say the pace, I am talking about that we can't get enough of each other. We just want to see each other. We kind of only want to spend time with each other. That pace, it's like you go from talking to now talking and talking to like spending, you go on a date, and then before you know it, it's like you're spending all of your free time together. If you had a life and you had other things that you used to do, you are canceling plans, you're like, you know, ditching those other things that you used to do, maybe ditching plans with your friends. You are all in this relationship. And I don't mean in that way where it's like, yeah, I'm all in. I mean, like, you're almost infatuated in this stage. The pace is going so fast. Now, understand, there are a lot of, like I said, healthy relationships, particularly with people that are, like teenagers or just coming, like if you're just out of university and stuff like that, or like in your early 20s, particularly, things can be like very, like, Romeo and Juliet. Oh my God, they're on your mind all the time. It's all you can think about. You don't want to do anything else. You're just all up in that person. But when it's love bombing, okay, it's like you start to feel almost like this pressure. It's like they have this, like, when am I going to see you again? How about I just like come over? Oh, no problem. I can just like pick you up, or I can just like hang out with you, or like it's like they just always kind of want to be with you and always want to be in your space. And I know that that can sound super romantic and it can sound like, oh, like we just can't get enough of each other. But again, you don't really know each other yet. Okay, you don't really know each other yet. And so that can be very much what it is like when you're with somebody that is potentially going to love bomb you. So let's talk a little bit about where the love bombing sort of comes from. Many of you that are familiar with love bombing and have like learned about this or experienced it yourself know that oftentimes when we're dealing with someone that is a narcissist or has is very high in terms of narcissistic traits, that they can do this sort of thing where there's a manipulation. And to be perfectly honest, like I would say, in my experience over the last 12 years, working with people, knowing people, interacting with people, and having experienced love bombing myself, okay, I would say that the narcissists that are out to get you, like they're hunting, right? They're looking for somebody that they can play this game with. They're a little bit higher, like on the scale of sociopathy. So, as you probably know, or if you didn't know, all sociopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are sociopaths. Okay. When we start to get into more of the sociopathic kind of narcissists, those are the people that really want to hunt you. They're like getting into dating you and trying to bag you for sport. They get like joy and a little bit of delight out of treating you like a little mouse on a string. And those people are quite scary, and you really want to watch out for them. And so that's part of the reason why we're talking about this. But then what I would also say is, I've worked with people who have been diagnosed with NPD, okay, and have also experienced people who don't have an official diagnosis, and they are higher in terms of having narcissistic traits. And it's not quite like what I just described. In fact, at the very beginning, these people really are into you. Like, they're not like, haha, I'm going to get this person. It's like they they connect with you, and there's something about you that they think, wow, this person is like really awesome, or really like cool, or really special, or like, I'm sorry to say this, sometimes there's something about you that you're a little bit of a like a trophy for them. Not in the way that I sort of described the more sociopathic, narcissist, but it's more like, let's say you're like a model, or you make a certain amount of money, or you're just like somebody that looks good on paper, or whatever it is, right? There's something about you where they're like, wow, this person's special. And so having you, being able to please you, being able to put a smile on your face, being able to have you fall in love with them makes them feel really special too. Makes them feel really good. So they get really all enthralled with wanting you and wanting you to fall in love with them. It's not as sadistic, okay, but it's still narcissistic. You understand? It's still narcissistic. So these are the people that they're like, so like, you're getting all these compliments. You're so beautiful. You're like the most beautiful person I've ever met. I've never felt this way before. All the over the top compliments. You're so smart. I like that about you. That's what I like about you is you know how to do X, Y, Z. You make me feel like a man. Like all these compliments, okay? And the thing that you want to be watching out for is they're coming really fast and they're very intense, and that person may not know you that well. Like, it's been one date, or it's been a couple of dates, it's been a couple of weeks, and they're just so enthralled with you. Part of what's happening there is they're wanting to figure you out. Like, they're wanting to know everything about you. They're wanting to learn how you tick, what you like, what your interests are. They're basically essentially wanting to get into your blueprint, the blueprint of yourself. They, because the pace is going so fast, they're learning all about your traumas. They're learning all about your past. They're learning about your difficulties with your family. They're learning about the things that you find hard. Like, they are learning everything there is to learn about you. And with the more sociopathic type of narcissist, the person that's playing a game with you, they know that that's what they're doing. They know that's what they're doing. And in fact, there's a lot of people that teach these kind of tactics to both men and women, like how to manipulate, how to get this person, how to break this person, how to make you weak, how to make you fall in love. Like these kinds of tactics, those kind of people, they are sitting there on the couch with you, listening to you with wide open eyes, making you feel really seen, making you feel like you're with your soulmate. In the spiritual community, we like to talk about like twin souls and they're making you feel like you've kind of like almost never felt before, right? The lesser or the lighter, let's call it like the person that's kind of like a narcissist, but they're not on the sociopathic side. They're just more like, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, because almost like a jigsaw puzzle, they're trying to figure you out. And it's like almost like a game, but again, it's not so malicious. They truly want to do it. It actually feels good for them at this time, for them to be making you happy and making you feel good. This is like what they call sort of like the idealization stage. Okay. Now, what we haven't really gone into is this: people think that it's only narcissists that love bomb. No, it's not. It's definitely not. And if you are a coach or your therapist, and you work with people, you know that this is true because you likely have encountered people in your practice where they love bombed, or maybe you yourself have even love bombed someone, right? So that typically happens when we're not fully in a secure attachment style yet. And it doesn't matter if we're more avoidant or if we're more anxious, either way, we're insecure. And so it's quite common in my experience working with people and in my own life that people that are not of a secure attachment style also can do that, particularly the fearful avoidance. They are kind of like all in up front. Again, there's like this honeymoon, the fantasy, it's feeling really good. They're, wanting to get closer. But when ultimately you're afraid of being abandoned, okay? When ultimately you're afraid of being abandoned, what do you think happens? There's a ton of like self sabotaging that happens. And so you're getting them all up front. Like if we're talking about the fearful avoidant attachment style in this case, you're getting this person completely available, all into you, all interested, whatever. Particularly if you yourself are also a little bit avoidant, okay, or you're somebody that you're skeptical, or you don't necessarily move so fast. So they're having to kind of, you know, prod you, chase you a little bit, move you forward. But then what can happen is once you start to reciprocate, that's when you start to see they sort of start to get weird, and they can sort of start to pull away. And that's your indication that you might be sliding into a love bombing situation. Likewise, with the anxious person as well, anxious attachment style. What we often think of with anxious attachment style is like, okay, anxious, so you're going to get quite clingy. You're going to want to like come closer. You're going to want to really go after that person. And so that does happen. It's like when you're anxious, you're constantly trying to prove yourself and make sure this person knows you're worthy and you don't want this person to leave. So you're kind of like, you're giving them everything. You're giving them everything. You're pulling out all the stops. And that's where that can feel very love bomby. And then when that person sort of starts to reciprocate again, this is where things start to get kind of weird for the anxious attachment style, where now they start to freak out and they start to panic. They start to be uncomfortable. Like, why didn't that person call me back that day? Does that mean they're kind of like leaving, or they don't like me as much? And they start to get kind of like squirrely and then freak out and kind of distant. And so my point in saying this is it's not just one of the three stages inside of a narcissistic relationship or when dealing with a narcissist. When people do this, it can also happen when we're interacting with people that are not secure yet inside of their attachment style. And my gosh, there's so much more that I could and want to get into. Here's the other thing is some of us are more vulnerable to being love bombed than other people are. I want to talk a little bit about that. And here's where I'll start with getting into that is maybe you had a parent. So this is the other way that love bombing happens. Maybe you had a parent that love bombed you. For those of you that had parents that were in and out of your life, or they were kind of there, but not really there. And so you constantly kind of felt like you were waiting or begging for their love. Like you never knew when you were going to get that kind of warmth from them. You never knew when you were going to get like the hugs or the validation or the approval for them. Or maybe they were always traveling for work, or they were always out, or they miss a lot of, your activities and your games. But, um, on a Sunday, they would show up with an ice cream cone, or, if your parents were divorced, um, but and missed most of your life. But hey, at Christmas time, you got those really amazing presents and you got to spend time with them. You have been set up there in that way where you kind of have been love bombed by your your parent. Okay, and so the love bombing, what it does, okay, is it creates this psychological pull within us where we want to get that person's love and affection. If someone starts out by being all sweet with you and all loving with you and kind, and they're giving you all this validation, they're making you feel so good, you feel seen, you feel um, better than you have in forever. When they take that away, okay, when they start to go cold or they start to pull back, what happens to those of us that have had childhoods where we had an absent parent, or in addition, those of us that are still struggling with our self-esteem or our sense of self-worth, we're working on our self-love journey, but we're still quite fragile, or we haven't figured out how to break through these patterns, which is what I do with a lot of my one-to-one clients that I coach. You're like, what did I do? What happened? What did I do? Did I say something? What did I say? Like, all of a sudden he's just not messaging me in the morning anymore, or all of a sudden she doesn't have as much time. Like, I don't know what happened. And so then you start to go, okay, how do I get this back? What do I do? I need to change. Maybe I did something. All of your insecurities come right to the surface. So I'm telling you this right now. If you are somebody, as I mentioned earlier, who your parents love bombed you, or you struggle with your own sense of self and your own sense of self esteem, okay, or you're like very lonely right now, you really want a relationship so badly, you don't want to be alone. If you don't have quality friends or a good relationship with your family, so to speak, you are very vulnerable to being seduced by a love bomber, whether it's the conscious one, like the more manipulative, narcissistic sociopath, the middle one, which is kind of like the person that might have NPD, or um, just some traits, some narcissistic traits, or it's the completely unconscious person that is just in an insecure attachment style and is just afraid of being abandoned. You are going to be more likely to want to just drop your guard, just fall for it all, let your boundaries go, ignore your intuition, bypass your gut instincts, and just go with it. So, if you know you fall into one of those categories, please, please either work with your therapist or a coach so that you have an extra set of eyes to look at situations with you by your side. And if you're not going to do that, or that's not feasible for you right now, then you want to be really writing things down as objectively as you can so that you're looking at them not from your wounded child self, but from your higher self. Okay? Here's one of the ways that you can I see something in the comments there and I want to actually read it, but I don't know where I put my glasses. Oh, good. Let me just read this. Renee, would you follow me on Instagram if I followed you first? No, I don't do follow for follow. So we're going to remove that. Okay. So I don't do that, okay? We don't do follow for follow or any of that stuff. So you're more likely to be susceptible to these kind of people. So here's what you want to be doing, okay? This will help you to distinguish if what's happening is, you're just in a really great relationship with someone and you're just falling really fast for each other, or if there's potential love bombing that's happening. Have some boundaries. So it's like they want to see you. They want to see you again. They want to see you again. You're getting all these compliments. You're getting all this, like, oh my God, it feels so good. And you're like Siamese twins now. Like, you guys are just like fused at the hip. Just let them know. Let them. I'm telling you, this is the telltale signs, okay? But you have to be careful because as we put more and more of these videos out online and we put these trainings out and we give you all the information on how to protect yourself, there are people who want to love bomb you that learn these tools and these tips, okay? So you have to be really watchful with this, and again, work with your coach or your therapist so you don't get bamboozled. So you want to say to them how you are feeling. Okay. So, for you, you feel it's going a little bit fast. You're like, I'm having so much fun, but I'm feeling kind of like it's just going a little bit fast, like maybe we should just like slow down a little bit, or like just like let's take it easy a little bit. Typically, if you're dealing with someone that's a little bit more malicious, they are so either malicious or just highly narcissistic, even if it's not malicious, the middle one. They're kind of going to try to massage you into feeling like it's not too fast. Okay, they're going to be like, but if it feels good, like what's the problem? Like we're just, it feels right, we're having fun. So it's almost like they're trying to like logic you into what your intuition or your instincts are telling you. Like they're trying to kind of like make you dismiss that. And they can seem very nice and very loving about it. Sometimes it can be gentle. If they're particularly skilled, they're going to take their time with you. Like I said, if they're people that watch these videos to try to like figure out how we protect ourselves, they're not going to be so obvious with you. Okay? It's going to be like they're gently massaging you to just lower your boundaries, but it feels good. But it just feels so right. What's wrong? Like, why? What can I do? What can I say to make you trust me? Like these kinds of things, okay? And so you just want to pay attention to those things and notice those things. Hold on, you guys. I'm just gonna do this. Sorry about that. I'll eventually have moderators to deal with this, so we do not get spammed. All right, so we'll just ignore that person. So yeah, so you want to be very watchful for that, of people just kind of like massaging you into letting go of your boundaries. Love bombers, whether they're conscious or not, They love keeping that pace going. They want to get you. They want your trust. They want you to like totally be all in with them. That is where they get their security from. That's where they get a lot of their power from. And if we're dealing with someone that is a bit of an anxious, an avoidant attachment style, again, remember, whether they're anxious or more avoidant, at the end of the day, it's a fear of being abandoned, a fear of being rejected. So, for someone that's a little bit more avoidant, they try to run away or get away when they think they're going to be hurt. The best thing that they can do to feel more secure is get you very quickly to be a yes to them. Then they're like, oh, okay, I can relax. This person likes me. The anxious attachment style is going to be more like, let me do let me pull out all the stops. Let me do everything that I can do. Let me go over the top and go overboard because they're not feeling worthy. They're not feeling enough. They're afraid of being left. And so they're going to do the most. Either way, regardless of the attachment style, you got people doing the most. And those two are also often in this sort of like fantasy of like how they want to feel and what they want in a relationship. And if they felt that they've never had it in the past or it never works out for them and you come along, they're all like, maybe this is the one, right? And so you get that love bomby energy until they freak out until they freak out. And they usually do. Okay? They usually do. And that's where the squirreliness, the sabotaging, the distance, the like hot and cold, you're all confused. Your head's spinning. You're like, what happened to this person? Like, what happened to the way things were? And very much with the narcissist that's love bombing you, if it's truly like a narcissist more on the sociopathic end, or that is more inside of that, or even the person with highly narcissistic traits, like many, they just get to a point where they don't want to do it anymore. That's what's so hard for people is it's like you're getting so much upfront. This person is making you feel the way you have always wanted to feel. And then they just take it away. They don't want to do it anymore. So the narcissist that's more sociopathic, okay, that is a sociopath, they don't care. They don't care anymore. You were a mouse in the game. You were probably one of many people that this person was seeing, or they have all different kinds of issues from their childhood and other things that they went through, and they're angry and bitter. And the more people they hurt, the better. Well, they don't even care because it's all about them now. The middle ground sort of narcissists, they're just bored now. They don't want to do it anymore. That was fun, you know, figuring you out, figuring out how to please you, seeing you smile. You were super special. You were really brand new. That was amazing. And it's just like it fades, just like the honeymoon phase fades. And so now you're getting that like devaluing. This is where the gaslighting thing starts. Okay. This is where the diminishing stuff starts. Because now it's like, what do you want? Now you're being needy. What's the problem? Yeah, I did all those things. I did all those things because I knew it would make you happy. Like, what do you want from me, kind of thing? Or like, just like, I don't want to do that anymore. And you're hurt and so confused. Okay, so these are definitely the things that happen and the things that you want to watch out for. Some other things that you want to watch out for, let me just check the chat here. Let's just check. What happens once they have you? Okay, So that's a little bit of what I was getting into. So once they have you, they're going to drop you. Okay. So if you were someone that you took a little bit of massaging to warm up, so they're telling you how beautiful you are, how awesome you are, they want to be with you, they're trying to make it official right away. So in like they want to be committed right away, you're moving in quickly, you're doing everything is on hyper speed, you're meeting parents and friends and all these people so fast. Okay, your lives are getting intertwined very, very fast. Okay, now once you start to feel settled and you start to feel secure and you start to relax and you start to reciprocate, they're going to pull away from you. You're going to start to feel them pull away from you. So it's like, you know how they always wanted to spend time with you, they couldn't get enough of you. You were the first person that they texted in the morning. Like, you always got a good morning, you always got a good night. They were like so, interested in hearing about your day. They would send you like little memes or things on Instagram. Like, they would like your they were all available and there. Now, sometimes you're like, oh, they said they would call me back and they didn't call me back. That's weird. And then it's like, this person used to call me every night. We would talk on the phone before bed or whatever, and they don't do that anymore. What happened? And you're sitting there thinking to yourself, what happened? What did I do? You might start to get excuses like, oh, well, I'm just busy, or work's busy, or like have to go do this or have to go do that. But understand that you're, what do you see what sort of starts to happen is the way that they prioritized you and the way that they had you up here on a pedestal, you're no longer that anymore. So you're starting to get devalued. And if you start to bring it up like, hey, like you didn't call me back, or like what happened, you might find that you get kind of like a vibe or an energy of like, what is your problem? Like, it's not that big of a deal, or, they kind of are minimizing and kind of like, you just don't feel warm and comfortable in the way that you used to. You can tell that they're not treating you the way they used to. They don't have the same time, they don't have the same patience, they're not as eager, they're not as interested. And that can go from like just little things, like I mentioned, like not calling you back or not really texting you as much, or, just not being as available or not paying attention in that way, to all the way like literally dropping you, like ghosting you, like bye. I can't tell you the number of clients that I have worked with that had somebody. This is the other thing that they do. They do a lot of future talking. Okay, that's one of the things that you want to watch out for. Let me just delete this. That's one of the things that you want to watch out for is future talking. So I talked to you all about the fast pace. So love bombers, people that are love bombing you or potentially going to love bomb you, they are going to want to keep things moving. They're insatiable. They want to devour you. They're all enthralled with you, and they want to keep that pace going fast. Even if you try to kind of like slow things down, they kind of don't want to slow down. They kind of try to massage your boundaries. This thing that I'm talking about now, the future talking, is when they do this thing where it's like, oh, like, I can't, like, they start to say things quite early on in the relationship. Like, they start talking marriage. They start talking like in ways like, when we're married, when we're married, we'll do this. And it slips in nice and light. Like it'll be jokes at first, like, yeah, when we get married, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And again, if you're one of the people that I talked about at the very beginning, where you've been waiting for this your whole life, you have always wanted someone to love you and see you in this way. Um, you have a low sense of self worth or self esteem, or your last relationship made you kind of like question yourself or doubt yourself. This person validating you, you're just eating it up and feeling so good, and you're thirsty essentially. And this person is just pouring all of this water into you, right? You're just soaking it up. So when this person starts calling you babe and sweetie and sweetheart and like pet names, all these like boyfriend, girlfriend, partner kind of names, you're just going with it. When they start talking, on the third date or like 2 weeks of knowing you and spending all this time with you about being married to you and getting married to you and when you have kids and all this kind of stuff, these are red flags. Now, like I said, it's tricky because in the honeymoon phase, sometimes people do that. I wouldn't advise that. Okay, that's not what I advise my clients to do. I advise my clients to be clear about what they want. Yes, I want a committed long-term relationship. I'm interested in meeting someone that I could have a future with. But I'm not advising them to start telling somebody week one or two that they want to marry them. It is understandable to have feelings of love or to feel like you love someone quickly. That can happen. But again, watching the pace. Okay, we always have to keep our eye on the pace. Then, keeping on top of the future talking. I would tell you right away, if you're a couple of dates in or a couple of weeks in and this person is talking to you about having kids, and they know that one of the things that you want is to have kids and to have a family, or like they know that's the kind of future you want, you really need to be very, very, very mindful. Because as I said to you before, the narcissists, particularly the sociopaths and the ones with the highly narcissistic traits, they want to have you fall for them. They want that. And so they know your pain points. If a pain point for you is that you would love to be married now, you're 30 and you're wondering why you're not married, or you're 35 and you're wondering why you're not married, or you're 36 and you want to have kids and your clock is ticking and all these kinds of things, they know that. So, this is where you have to do your own inner work on yourself to be secure so that you are not in a state of being desperate. You yourself are not, in a state of being desperate or being insecure, because that's what has you fall into this trap a lot, okay? You are so welcome. I'm glad that answered that question. So, let me just look at some notes here because there's so many things. Yeah, so you got the you've got the super quick I love you, the terms of endearment. They've got all these things where they just start talking to you about like future plans and places you'll vacation and things you'll do together. It's like you're weeks in and this person has already mapped out a whole vision of the future with you. And I know for a lot of us that have been looking for our person, want to be in love, want to fall in love, like that right there is like, you just want to melt at last. I want you to think to yourself, let me enjoy this, let me be here in the moment, but let me not get ahead of myself. Let's just be here now. This is feeling really good now. So when this person tries to take you all the way into the future of having kids and meeting his friends and this and that and all of that, just say, you know what? I'm really enjoying the time I'm spending with you right now. This just feels really good. Maybe we could just slow down a little bit on, marriage and kids. I'm sure there's just so much more to get to know about each other, and I'm totally looking forward to doing that. So that is what somebody that's pretty secure and says, I know my worth. I'm still checking you out. I like you. I like you. I'm feeling it too, but I'm still checking you out. Now, I have had cases where I have had people meet somebody, and fall in love really quickly. In fact, many. Okay. What I would say set these people apart to be able to know if it's love bombing or not, or potentially love bombing or not, is what happens when you reciprocate. So, as I mentioned, with the narcissist, particularly the one that's more leaning towards sociopathy, okay, or has more sociopathic traits, antisocial personality disorder, all the different ways I could say that, you all are following. Those people are going to drop you, okay? They are going to start to pull back. They are going to do it. So, what you're going to see is inconsistency from those people, from the high, like from the intense predators. You are going to see inconsistency. They're going to be like, oh, doing these nice things for you, setting up these dates, listening to you, all of this, all of that. And then yoink, you start to feel good and you start to want them. You start to like, it's almost like they can feel you purring emotionally. And they're like, yoink, and they're doing that like reward, pull the reward, pull the reward, that manipulation tactic. It will drive you crazy. It will bring up every insecurity you have, and you will be in the palm of their hand, unable to get out unless you have an extra set of eyes or you recognize what's happening to you. A lot of people can't see it when they're in it. Okay. So they're going to do that for sure. The NPD, like the person with NPD or just higher on the narcissistic traits, but not a sociopath, okay, they're just going to get bored. So, again, what's going to happen is with them, rather than the cat and mouse, the pulling you, pulling you, dragging you of the sociopath, okay, this one's just going to go cold. They're just going to seem disinterested. That's the devaluing sort of thing. It's like, yeah. And for both the sociopath and the person with NPD or highly narcissistic traits, the discarding happens, right? It's just like, sociopath is just going to be on to the next person. They're probably going to ghost you, never say anything to you at all. They're going to block you and whatever. They will have just, spent an amazing weekend with you. You would have been intimate with them. You would have shared all these things about yourself. And by the way, this even happens to people not at the beginning of a relationship. It's like there have been many people who have been with somebody for like a year, gone. Gone. And I assert that there were red flags along the way that were ignored. I have worked with people like this where when we do the healing, the breakup recovery work, we can see what was missed that could have been avoided. A lot of the stuff that I'm talking to you here about. With the people that do it because of their insecure attachment style, you're going to get at times like it's going to feel more like disproportionate outbursts to things that you do. It's going to feel a little bit more like you're going to feel kind of like, I don't know how to get through to this person. I don't really know what's going on with them. And for those of you that have a tendency to like be, a little bit more codependent or feel like you're the one that has to help or fix or therapize these people, like you're going to be trying to figure it out and figure it out and figure it out, twisting yourself, contorting yourself into a pretzel to try to help them to heal so that they don't keep disappearing on you or running away from you. You know, think about it. I know that there are many of you that have probably been in a relationship where it's like, oh my God, like this person is always breaking up with you, or they're like, or they do this thing like, oh, I'm not good enough for you, and they're trying to get out or they're leaving, and you're just like, oh my God. And it makes the relationship so unstable. One minute they're like so all into you and after you and this and that, and the next minute they're checking out. And you're like, what the heck? It makes you so scared. So that's kind of what that will look like at times. Okay. So let me just see what else I want to talk to you about here. I've got like 3 pages of notes. So yeah, I said coming on strong. They're overly flattering, meaning friends and family. Um, yep, they're gonna ask you all kinds of personal questions. We talked about that. They're gonna ask you all kinds of deep personal questions to figure out your blueprint. As you start to get closer and closer, that is when they start to disappear. So I mentioned to you all that the big thing is you really need to slow down. You want to slow down and you want to look at consistency and you want to look at how they respond to you when you begin to reciprocate. Because if we're talking about somebody that is secure and somebody that isn't playing mind games with you, someone that isn't trying to manipulate you, it's going to be a nice, steady build. It's going to be very reciprocal. It's not going to be like hot, cold, what's going on? What happened? They're gone. They disappeared. They're pulling away from me. Like all this stuff going on. It's not going to be like that. And I would also say, for those of you, because I know that whether it's somebody watching right now or it's somebody that's going to watch the replay, for those of you that are tolerating somebody who was so into you up at the beginning, giving you all of this attention, these compliments, being all about you, and then they kind of like say they don't know how they feel. I don't really know how I feel. I don't know how this is going for me. I think maybe I want to see other people, or like I'm just not really so interested, or they start seeing other people, that sort of thing. Listen, you really, really want to look into what is happening there, because it seems like you're being toyed with a little bit like a yo-yo. Whether they're doing it intentionally or maliciously, manipulatively, or they're unconscious of it, it's their attachment style, their insecurities, their whatever. You really want to know your worth and be very clear about what is happening, and don't buy into all of these excuses and all of the things that they say, because you're just going to get pulled around by the nose back and forth, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt you because they probably will leave. They probably will leave. If they don't ghost you, it'll be kind of like a painful, treacherous, tumultuous kind of ending. And these things are really, really hard for people when they go through this, because so much of our heart gets pulled in, which is what they are counting on. So much of you begins to get invested. It happens really fast. If we have a dream or we have a desire to find love or to be with somebody, the minute we start to have sparks, we start to feel the butterflies, we start to have these feelings click, and someone starts to tell us the things we want to hear, it happens that fast where we start to create this trajectory into the future where we can really see ourselves with that person. And all of the feelings that we're feeling, there are chemicals floating around. And so we really go through a mental and neurological like withdrawal when this happens. It's very, very painful. Most of us are afraid of being abandoned and rejected. In fact, pretty much all of us, even those with a secure attachment style, right? That are now secure, but it's most painful for people who are still working through and working on becoming secure, because what it does is it reinforces the pain of we're not enough, nobody loves us, it's never going to happen for us, maybe we're just meant to be, all these kinds of things, all these kinds of things that we have been experiencing and are so scared will be our future. I think one of the big things that I would like to tell you is that it's really important when you start dating people that you are doing your inner self love work. It's so important because the more gaps or holes you have in your sense of self, the easier it is for predators to get access to you. The more likely you will not be able to see these things, and the more likely you'll not be able to defend yourself because you don't see them. You want to be dating in such a way where you're okay with being alone. You're okay with being alone. And that doesn't mean, I want to be really clear. That doesn't mean that you should just be like, "Yep, I never want to find somebody. Nope, not for me." What it means is that you are at a place where you are comfortable enough with yourself on your own, such that bringing someone into your life, they really need to meet certain standards, and you're not in this crazy rush. You are not you are not in this empty place where you need someone to fill you up, because it is that empty, I'm alone, I need to be loved, I need to be validated, I need to be seen, I need to be held, I need to be touched, I need, that really creates the recipe for a sociopath or a narcissist or somebody of like vibration with you to come in. And when I say like vibration with you, I want you to understand I'm not saying that you're bad or that you're negative. You're a human, okay? And if you're just like, I'm so empty, I'm so empty, I'm so thirsty, I need, right? You're going to meet somebody that also has a need. And when they meet you, it's going to connect with the part of them that needs to be needed. But then once they get that, they're gone because they were not full enough themselves either. So they took that from you and then they left. Okay. We don't want that. We want you to be able to be free in this relationship where it's like, I'm having so much fun with you. This is I'm having the time of my life. This is so amazing. We spent the entire weekend together and I love that. and I can't wait to see you again. And I have work, or I have school, or I have these other things I need to do, or you have other things that you do, right? So you don't need to be moving at this intense space where it just feels like, I think one of the analogies that I gave to another client of mine was, it feels like you're on a race car track. You know, when the car is going so fast that it just looks like a blur? You don't need to go that fast. You really don't. There's absolutely no reason for that. So enjoy yourself, let yourself fall in love, but pace yourself and have some boundaries with yourself and boundaries with them. Let me just check and see if there is something else that I want to add here. That really is, most of what I want to cover in this video. But, whether you're watching this now or you're watching the replay, I'd love to know if you feel comfortable sharing, if you've ever been love bombed. And if you were, what were some of the things that they did? I think the more that we all talk about this, the more information that we all have to be able to use to ensure that the pattern doesn't reoccur. I have been love bombed myself in the past, definitely. When I was dating, oh my God, years and years ago, I had quite a few people love bomb me. But part of the reason that happened to me was because I'm gonna keep it 100 with you guys. The reason it happened to me was because at that time my self-worth was so low. I just wanted someone to love me. So when someone would pay that kind of attention to me, when somebody would be like, "You're so beautiful, you're so smart," they want to take me out for dinner and do all these things, I literally would just be putty in their hands. I would just melt, like completely melt. They had me. And so I didn't even think for myself in those days. It was just like, this person's so nice to me, they're so whatever to me. It's gotta be like, I have to make this work now. And so what ends up happening is, in your mind, this is the best person you've ever had. This is the best person. This person has treated you the best. And it's so hard to find whatever it is you're looking for, that you're willing to put up with all kinds of crap from that person. They start to go cold, they start to gaslight you. For me, there was some cheating and infidelity. Like, there was all kinds of icky stuff going on. And I was like spun in a web. I was spun in a web because I was trying to get back to the sweetness of the beginning of that relationship and what it was like. Gotta understand, everyone, that those early stages are just the very beginning, when everybody is on their best behavior, ideally. What comes after the 3-6 month mark, that is more, I would even say a year, is more really what is underneath the surface. That is more the real thing. And that beginning was just the game, or the honeymoon. Okay? So really watch yourselves out there. The more secure you are, the more you love yourself, the more you're going to be able to have boundaries, the more you're going to be able to really pace yourself, the more you're going to be able to just think to yourself, how could this person know that I'm the one when they don't really know me yet? How could they know that? It might be based on a feeling. And if it's purely based on a hunch, on an intuition, that's okay. But if they're trying to give you some kind of surety or some kind of like, no, 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 I know you're the one, you can't believe that. It's not based on anything, right? It's based on a feeling, a hunch, an intuition. So keep it at that. Understand it's just that, and that can change at any time. It's beautiful if it's here now, it can change at any time. If you're sitting on a date, on a first date with somebody, and they're calling you babe, if you're texting with a person and they are calling you babe, okay, watch out for that. If it's early on and they're talking about kids and wanting you to meet this and that, watch out for that. If you yourself are also going at that speed, you're about to go and meet the family and it's week, you know, 2, okay? Watch out for that. Watch out for that. I am not saying that you should not go or you should not believe them. I'm saying have a good time and keep your eyes open. And where possible, slow it down if you yourself know that it is going very, very fast. Ask yourself, why am I going so fast? Why do I feel like I can't slow the pace down? Answer those questions and see what you come to. If the answer is because I don't want to, again, ask yourself why. Got to do this shadow work. You got to get in there very deep. Okay, that's what's going to help you to navigate and make sure that you're not love bombed where you are in the idealization phase, the devaluing phase, and eventually discarded as nothing. Or dealing with somebody that is not ready to be in a relationship and you missed the red flags and now they've just ghosted you or they've just broken up with you and they've just left. And there you are with your heart in your hands. So pay very close attention. This is something that I work with clients on. If this is something that they experience as a pattern, or if they know that they're vulnerable to being, manipulated or bamboozled by people, they're working on being able to protect themselves. They're empaths, because, empaths, dragon, all different kinds of people. You know, we do this kind of work to make sure that this thing does not repeat again. Just got to take the coaching. All right. So, this is our video for today, or our live for today. Hope that you all enjoyed it. We had a crazy start at the beginning. For those of you that weren't here at the very beginning, or those of you that are watching the replay, first, there was a cat in the closet. No, the first there was like a camera issue, then there was like a cat trapped in the closet. I mean, it was totally crazy. I'm probably going to edit that out and we'll start from wherever we are. But it has been a pleasure to be with you all. Um, I'm curious to know if this time of night really works for everyone. I don't know. I tried to do this time of night because I know a lot of people are at work and can't get on the lives during the day and this and that. But I don't know. We'll see. I think we might do some more in the evening, but I think we'll also do some more during the day. So if you don't catch me in the evening, I will always make sure that the replays are available for you all and you can watch them again when they're up. All right. But this is what we covered on love bombing, some of the ways that you can tell the difference between whether this person is really falling for you, or if they're love bombing. Basically, the way that you're going changing your behavior by you slowing things down, by you having boundaries, and by watching for how consistent they are when you reciprocate. Okay, those are the keys right there. All right, my friends, it is now whatever time o'clock it is. So I will see you again soon in another video or another live. Thank you all for being here, and good night.